Now we're good. We're on. Hello, everybody. Happy Money Mondays. As you can see, Shawn and I are in different places. Shawn is currently in Naples, so he's a little blinded, can't see all of your wonderful comments and chat. So I'll make sure that I keep him up to date. And then we've got Luke in the background, so I'm sure Luke will be able to put up some of your awesome comments. And I am in the studio in Indiana because we are currently packing boxes to move into our new home. So super excited to have you guys here tonight. And I think we're talking about something super important. We're talking about why you need to raise your prices in 2023. And I think that this is an important topic. Some of you are like go-getters and you just raise your prices whenever we say, at any moment, drop of a hat, was that what they say? Drop of a hat? Is that the right thing, babe?
Yeah, raise your prices at the drop of a hat.
That's like a thing?
I think so.
Oh, well, that's not helpful. Think so is not helpful. Somebody tell me if that's right, because that wasn't helping me out. Anyway, some of you raise your prices as soon as we say something, and a lot of you sit on it, think too much about it, dwell on it because you want to help your clients and come from a place of service. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that tonight. But first off, just so you know, it is Money Mondays and we are giving away $400. So we are drawing 4 names tonight. So hopefully there is one lucky winner on the chat, watching the video, watching and hanging out with us right now. What you got to say, Shawn? He's going to...
I hope there's a winner. $400 tonight. Super excited to be giving away another amazing bounty out of the canasta. So that's super exciting.
We got the canasta. All right. Well, anything that you want to talk about that's happening in the world?
No, and I think that, we're seeing a lot of potential slowdown of the recession, and we're talking about maybe moving our weekly broadcast in a slightly different direction in the turn of the year. We want to continue to help people, but it looks like we're going to get then a drastic impact, a slow impact across a longer period of time, unfortunately. And so this is just something that we have to continue to be aware of, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that we have to adapt to quickly, which in a lot of ways probably is worse because, when it comes slow, it's kind of like boiling that frog, right? Like you were in the water. We're coming out of a time when everybody did really well, creeped up the interest rates, things start to tighten, but just slightly. So we don't get that massive, drop there. We just have that slow, what they're calling a soft landing. So a slow downturn over the course of the next 365 days. But if we fail to adapt, then we're going to be in a situation at the end of that where we won't know what happened. And for me, that's a lot worse. At least one of the things that was kind of good about COVID is that it happened really quickly, right? It was like everything was great and then shutdowns and, what was it, 14 days to flatten the curve. And so that just came upon us really, really quick. Well, this doesn't seem like something that's just going to come across really, really quick. Of course, all of the governments and people internationally are attempting to fight this and keep it under control. But I think that most experts agree that it's not something that's going to be kept under control. It's a matter of how fast they're going to allow it, to go down. And so it seems like, though, they've gotten a pretty good handle on it, and it's going down slowly, which in a lot of sense is great news, right? Because I don't want all of a sudden to be worth half my net worth tomorrow. But it also is bad news for business because it means you have to adapt. I mean, we're still continuing to see the layoffs happening. We're seeing cutbacks. We're seeing, when we see things like a drop in gas prices, on one hand, that's really good. On the other hand, it's like, look, this is something that we're seeing that there's less demand for oil and gas. And so we're accommodating the market. And a lot of that lowering in demand is coming out of China. We're seeing restrictions on Russian oil prices. So, there's still a lot of turbulence out there. but we're not really sure the direction that it's going to go. We have cryptocurrency all tipsy-turvy, upside down with all the scandals and everything that's going on there, and uncertainty where that's going to go. One of the things too, I would just tell everybody to watch. I mean, by all accounts, literally there's billions of dollars in losses that have been taken in cryptocurrency, that a lot of the larger funds, a lot of the larger holders, they haven't, claimed those losses as of yet. And as those losses start to come in, they probably will get claimed, between here and the end of the year, probably seeing another bit of a hit on the crypto market. For those of you that are trading, this could be good news if you're shorting and you understand that game. But for those of you that are just, holding this for the long term, it could be very difficult. Also, we're seeing a lot of guidance shifted relative to the, predictions of the stock market for next year, and whether or not that's, a long-term hold is going to be a good strategy there as well. And so I think that we just have to continue to monitor. We have to be adaptable. I'm still very big on moving up market. I'm still really big on positioning yourself to weather an economic downturn, because I still think that that's coming our way. But tonight we're going to talk about prices. A lot of people understand that, especially in these times, you need to raise prices. Why? Because everybody's raising prices. And everybody's raising prices not just to make more money. They're raising prices because prices are going up, because we're entering, if we're not yet in, we are entering into a recession. So the cost of doing business goes up. So your cost of food, the cost of paper, your cost of electricity, your cost of heating your building, everything's going up on you. And if you don't accommodate to the market, well, then you get stuck. And so we're going to talk about what you could do. We'll talk about how you could do it. Hopefully everybody's settling in here and taking good notes.
Yeah, one of the things that I notice a lot, like when we're talking to our clients about this, and I don't know if you have similar objections, but the big objections I always get are things like, well, Lacey, one of the things is I want to make sure that I can still serve all the people in my community. Like, I want to make sure that they can afford my prices, right? Have you heard that before? Oh, I want to make sure that Are you sure? Yeah. Hold on, we're going to wait till we're back on and that I get confirmation that we're back on, because it looks to me like we're still spinning. Are we back on? I think we're back on. Oh, somebody give us confirmation in the live chat that now we are rolling. We had a short commercial break. Good. We're on. Okay, we're back on. Shawn's gone, but we're back on. I don't know where Shawn went. All right. Here's what I was saying. So I'm just going to roll until we get Shawn back on, because not only did we slow down and have a little commercial break and freeze up, but we also lost Shawn in the broadcast somehow. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's what I was saying. The biggest objection that I get when I talk to people about raising their prices is that they want to make sure that they accommodate the people that they serve, that they want to make sure that people can afford to still come in, get the service, and engage with them. But here's the thing that I had a realization with in working with clients is that even though you have a huge service heart, and sometimes that heart gets in the way of making sound business decisions, you have to reconcile this statement. And I'm going to say it, and you have to really sit with this. Love and service do not have to come in the form of low prices. Period. Like, love and service do not have to come in the form of low prices. You don't have to serve in a way that devalues what you do. And if you're feeling like I cannot raise my prices, that actually means that in some way you feel like you are not in equal exchange with the other individual. So if you're truly feeling this idea, love, like, man, like, I don't want to raise my prices because I want to make sure that everybody can still afford me, that means that somewhere you're feeling like you are out of exchange. So the thing that you should ask yourself is, what level does my service need to be at so that I can charge more? I think that that's like one of the most important things you can do. If you feel like you cannot raise your prices tomorrow and you feel like that's the way that you serve, but you would like to raise your prices, really the underlying issue is that you feel out of exchange. So your goal is to figure out, how can I increase my level of service so that I feel an equal exchange to to get to the level of price point that I want to charge. And I think that's really important. And, a lot of what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks with our team is planning and figuring out how can we increase, how can we give more. That's what you should be looking at. Got anything on that?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily totally agree with that. I do agree with
Oh.
you might not uh, feel like you're in fair value, but listen, for if anybody doesn't know my story, I love all of the dopes of the world that are like, yeah, don't listen to Shawn because he's not in the trenches. Which, first of all, that's a terrible thing to use. That you think that's cool to be in the trenches. Trench is another word for ditch, and I don't think that any of our viewers should be aspiring to be in the ditch. You can help people who are in the trenches, but that's not any badge of honor that you're in a trench. But I did work in an office in Costa Rica for 9 years. I saw on average 225 patient visits per day, and I worked 5.5 days a week. I saw a ton of people, and arguably in that span of time, I probably outpaced most people as far as what I saw clinically than most people do in an entire career. And that's not, I didn't just work 9 years and quit. I've practiced in the United States as well. But I think that one of the things that's very difficult that I had this realization is, I was in a country of at that time, I believe 4 million people was the population. Seeing 225 patient visits every single day, that's admirable. I mean, there's people that supposedly see like 1,600 or something a day. Just, if you think that's true, you should just try and shake hands with 1,600 people. Just get 1,600 people lined up and just walk down a line and shake hands with 1,600 people. Anyways, I saw 225 people in a day, and I realized this was my revelation: is that, listen, I'm not even making a dent. I'm like, it's like that's nothing compared to the population of the country that I was in, and that's nothing compared to the population of the world. And so I all of a sudden had this realization that if I was put onto this earth for a limited time, and I was only going to be able to, no matter what it is that you do, if you're a financial advisor, you can't advise every person in the world. So if you have a limited amount of time, I saw somebody talking about Lonnie. If you're a hairdresser, you can't style every man, woman, and child on the planet.
Hmm.
So if you have a limited amount of time on this earth and there's a limited amount of service that you're going to be able to provide, well, for me, I think I want to provide that to the people who I was meant to serve. And listen, it's when we talk about like, I'm not in fair exchange. Well, I think that's the first thing. I only want to see people who I was meant to serve. And if I'm meant to serve them, that means that they are going to pay whatever the price is that I've determined is the value for seeing me, right? Because it's limited. If you understood this to begin with, you'd be like, I can't see everybody. I can't see people that say that. You were saying earlier, like, well, it's going to limit the people in my community, but you can't see them all anyways. So, I mean, whatever your fee is, I don't care what your fee is, but why not see those that can pay the fee that you set? Because there's other people. This is my other realization: is there's other people that do what I do, and they're not going to see the same people or serve the same people that I serve. They're not going to charge the same amount. If I was in Costa Rica, there's people that are in Utah that serve the people of Utah in the way that they serve the people in Utah. So I'm like, man, I just am here for a limited time. I've got a limited number in my case of checking people and adjusting people in me. If I'm going to do it, it might as well be only with the people that I was meant to serve. So, I mean, you set a price of what you feel like it's worth. And what that means necessarily is there's a lot of people that will be excluded. And I want people to get comfortable with that because I'm not saying that as a jerk. I'm just saying that that's good for me that some people get excluded because I'm only here to serve some of the people. I mean, it's ridiculous if I'm like, oh, I was supposed to see them all. No, I'm not. It's a finite number of people that I can serve in my career as a chiropractor. There's a finite number of people that I can serve as a consultant. A lot of people don't like me. A lot of people think that I charge way too much money. Those are not the right people to serve. And listen, there's a lot of way cheaper consultants out there. There's a lot of way nicer consultants, and there's a lot of way handsomer consultants. Like whatever it is that you're looking for, that's out there. But I'm out there for the people that I was put on this planet to serve.
That's super fair. I think that that's an important mindset kind of perspective that people need because, again, it's not limiting. It's just allowing you to see the people that you were meant to see and those that can afford your prices or may not be the ideal client. There's a lot of other people out there that are well positioned to take care of them. And I think this, the title of this is 3 reasons why you need to raise your prices. I think everybody knows why they need to raise their prices. I think it's really what people need tonight is just tips on overcoming that limiting belief that they cannot raise their prices, right? And I think that what you just talked about is number 1. Number 2, one of the things that I think that many of us have learned, especially you and I, over the course of many years doing this work, and this is something I always remind myself of and remind my clients of, is you need to get your hand out of your clients' pocketbooks. And what I mean by that is it's super inappropriate for you to take responsibility over other people's finances. So many of our clients judge whether or not somebody can afford their care and or their service. How many times have you, Shawn, even when you were in practice, seen people walk in and you would assume that they can't afford care and they figure out a way. And the people that look like they can afford your service, they're the ones that say they don't have the money, right? And so I think the most dangerous thing is putting your hands in other people's pocketbooks. So for you to be like, well, people can't afford me, I think that that's not fair for you to make assumptions or judgments because people always have a way of figuring out what they super value, right? So that's just a big learning lesson.
I want to just stop and take a pause real quick. We've got Nicole Poirier, and she is sending greetings from Il Molino alongside Amanda Appleblatt. So first of all, a public congratulations to Amanda Appleblatt and Joe Poor.
Yay!
A lot of you who are watching here celebrated their beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wedding this past weekend.
Magical wedding.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for inviting us. It was super amazing to be a part of. It was super generous. It was just an absolute amazing experience. And Nicole, she runs a program that Melt with Nicole that is put on by our sponsor of tonight's episode of Money Mondays, Cairo Nutraceutical, aka Cairo Thin. You guys should check them out, especially if you are seeing what's happening with Nicole and her programming. You can get on that Chirothin train and see what she's been able to offer to her community. So shout out to Amanda and Joe, shout out to Nicole, and big thanks to all the fine folks over at Cairo Nutraceutical and Chirothin. I think that one of the things that we need to talk about is you're saying that some people have a difficult time with raising prices.
Yep.
And so step number 1, I believe, is just like, am I worthy? Can I raise prices? And, that's what we were talking about. Do you value your service? Are you in fair exchange? Taking a look at what you're providing. And is there any place that you need to up level? Or is there any way that, maybe even, getting more education, studying, building your knowledge base will allow you to charge more? What's really funny? I don't think she would mind me sharing this. I was doing a coaching call with Amy Spolstra this evening, and Amy was like, "Oh man, it's really weird because I get all of these people from all over the world. I just had these people from Singapore that were inquiring about taking my program." I said, "Amy, but that makes sense, right? Don't you understand that if I were in a country where no one else was certified in the focus program and I could get certified, that gives me an advantage, a competitive advantage. That's one of the reasons why I would charge more. I'd be like, I have specialty knowledge that nobody else in my country has. It's an unfair advantage when you have specialized knowledge." So, taking a look at what you do, and the value and being in fair exchange. The next thing is understanding that you're not here to serve everyone and serving the people that you were meant to serve. But once we get past that, then we have to kind of figure out where we should put our price. And listen, in my mind, when pricing in the market, there's really only 2 options. You either want to be priced on the low side, or you're going to be priced on the high side. Now, unfortunately, in the academic world, when teaching business, what often gets taught is you should go out and you should look at your area, kind of pull and see what people are charging and kind of put your price in the middle, which is the absolute worst in my opinion, because really nobody buys in the middle. Either you are specifically looking for a discount, right? So you're bargain shopping, you're doing price comparison. And what's funny is that most service providers, people who watch this show, hate the price comparison people. But either you're price comparing or you're intentionally overpaying. So I know you, Lacey, you have a lot of designer clothes. It could be argued that you are way overpaying for all of this clothes that's the same in essence as other clothes or other shoes or other handbags, other cars. I understand you got a new car today. Why would you pay this much money
Why
for a
is it my
car?
car? We got a new car.
I didn't get a new car. I'm here. I went in my garage. And in fact, you know what?
You
I went in
picked
my
the
garage
car.
and I seen two of your cars here. My little white golf cart's still there, but it's not new. It's the same white golf cart that's been there. It looks nice. I got to take it. I got to have them go and I got to have them wash it down a little bit. They spray it down. But I mean, your two beautiful cars are in the garage here in Naples, and then I haven't seen the beautiful car that you picked up in Indiana. But okay, you may intentionally overpay because someone could say, why didn't you just get a Honda? Why didn't you just get, in fact, hey, everybody, I crashed one of Lacey's beautiful cars. No, I didn't crash it. I was in it when it got crashed. And I had to take it today to the body shop. And they were explaining to me, it's pretty fascinating. This body shop only does high end cars. And so they're basically luxury vehicles. And it's amazing, right? He was like, people bring their luxury cars. Check this out. He's like, people bring their cars all the way from Sarasota and Tampa Bay. Now, this is like a two and a half hour drive. So you crash your car in Tampa Bay and you're like, I need to get my car fixed. It might be a $500,000 car. Where do you take it? Well, you get it towed. They were showing me today that there was a man who had his car towed from Texas. He put his car, it was a racing Porsche. You would have liked it.
Okay.
You would
Wait,
have
hold
liked it.
on.
Yes,
People are
Lacey
saying
crashed my
you are
golf cart.
salty. You are salty tonight. And so I feel like Nate is correct. I did crash your golf cart, and in exchange, you crashed my Boxster. So I think we
You
are
crashed
out of
it.
exchange here.
I didn't crash it. I was just sitting there, and some
Mm.
Naples old lady, she just bam, and she hit me with an Infinity, with one of the big, like a big, like an SUV. And so I was trying, but listen, somebody brought their Porsche, their racing Porsche, because they crashed it in Texas and they wanted to have it serviced and fixed right.
Wow.
And also, the guy told me how much it was. It was $89,000 to fix this car. 89. Some people's cars don't even cost
Yeah.
$89,000. But here's the thing: you're either priced on the low, so you want to get it into Caliber or Mako, right? Hey, I just need this fixed. Give me the
Right.
best deal. Or you're like, who's the best person on the planet to do the job? And they're going to be like, yeah, but it's going to cost $89,000. And you're like, well, I don't care, because they must be good. And so
Right.
those are your two pricing options. Being in the middle. Listen, look at your own buying habits. Very rarely do you buy things in the middle. You have a series of things that you super value. Maybe your computer, maybe your clothes, maybe it's cars, maybe food. Oh, I only eat organic. Whatever it is, then you overpay intentionally. You know that you're paying more for this thing. Or you have a series of things, maybe detergent, dish soap, towel, whatever it is. You have these things that you bargain shop, right? A lot of females, they're like, hey, I need this certain makeup. And I'm like, well, what makes the makeup so well or so good? Why is it so expensive? And then they go into, this whole series of why. And I'm like, well, you could buy the same thing at Target. And every person is like, no, you can't. No, you can't. You don't know. So some people are buying the Target makeup because they are looking for a discount and they don't value that. And other people are overpaying intentionally because they do value that. It's the same thing, the same class of things. It's makeup. So for whatever it is that you do, there's the two ends of the spectrum. However, I do want you to notice very rarely do people buy in the middle. And so you never want to be price pointed in the middle. So let me tell you, and we'll probably spend time talking about the high end. But let me tell you the difficulty in the low end. I don't know if you saw, Lacey, that Walmart's talking about the amount of loss that they're experiencing due to theft, right? And
Yep.
so they're very upset about this because we need they were looking for
Their profit
enforcement.
margins are so slim, they can't have that kind of theft. Yeah.
Well, that's the difficulty. On the low
Mhm.
side, they're running super slim profit margins at a massive volume. Don't get me wrong. Walmart's
Right.
not, wanting for money because they
Right.
move so much volume, but with a small profit margin with large volume, you get big profits. But I got to tell you, for the majority of the people that watch our show, I mean, we're not getting, MBAs on this show. We're getting people that are trying to reach more people, trying to make a bigger impact, that are probably working on their business acumen. And in that realm, it is really difficult. It takes a lot of skill to run a low margin business because it's dependent on volume. And also, you got to understand, you might be a purchase or a downturn in marketing or in sales away from having massive losses. So it requires a lot of metal, it requires a lot of brain power to run a high volume, low margin business. You know what's funny? I think most people think that it's actually easier to do that. It's way easier to just sell $100,000 thing than sell $100,001 things, right? And so if you understood that, it might take you a while. But I mean, if you went 3, 4 months and hadn't sold a single $100,000 thing, and then you sold one, well, now you've covered up those last 3 months, and you've got enough to last you for a little while. It's more like whale hunting. So I would want to encourage people to kind of tend towards the high side. I feel like that you want to be, I always say, amongst the highest in charging in your category. Amongst, it doesn't mean you have to be we're not in a contest of who can go the highest, but the category class says that there's luxury vehicles or high-end makeup or high-end clothes. They're not competing necessarily for who's the most expensive. It's just a class of pricing that you want to accommodate yourself to.
What I love about the like Skip's on here talking about watches. What I love about high end expensive things is inherently for things like cars and watches and luxury goods, you recognize that if you're paying more, they either hold their value or they appreciate in value. And so when you're on the high end, you can often speak into the concept of appreciating value. If I'm a chiropractor and I'm charging the highest amount, I'm appreciating value in your health. I literally saw a post today of a Chanel purse that sold for $5,900 when it was originally on the market. And right now on the secondary market, it sold for $18,000. Our Porsche, the first Porsche we bought, when we went in and bought it, they said Porsches, because they're so high end, one of the things is that if you get it under release, by the time you buy it, you'll never be upside down, unlike other vehicles. Why? Because it's a high end car that begins to appreciate in value. So if you can think about how does my service help people's XYZ appreciate in value because I'm on the higher end, you should be able to speak into that. Lastly, I want to say too, when I'm listening to you talk and you're talking about people's buying habits, what I recognize in a lot of individuals is that people project their own money shit onto their clients. So if you have a scarcity mindset, if you're rolling back on your buying purchases, oftentimes you're going to project that onto the people that are coming into your business to purchase your service. And that's why a lot of times it's difficult to actually raise your prices, not only because you don't think you're worthy or you're valuable enough, but because you're projecting your own money paradigms and belief systems onto the people that come through your door. So you have to be really careful and begin to look at that. Good. I have one. Do you know what the other thing I was thinking of? I was laughing with my coach about this because we were talking about like scarcity. And he said, you know what? He said, I don't feel like scarcity is a mindset. He said, I feel like scarcity is a disease. And there's a meme out there that's talking about something and it says that's a disease and I say get well soon. Well, scarcity is a terrible disease and to that I say get well soon. And so you've got to figure out how to not project your scarcity mindset as you're going through this process onto the people that you serve. That's also what you have to get over to raise your prices.
How come
What
everybody's
else
not
you got?
saying you're salty? I mean, you come on here swearing, and I
I
get
said
accused
shit.
of
Is that
being
really
salty.
a swear word?
Yeah, this is like, there's
I
kids
can
that
think of
watch
a
this show.
lot of worse swear words.
Man,
No, they're saying when
I don't
Lacey
know.
swears, it's serious. Sean comes on here and he's just salty.
Psh,
Why are you salty
that's
tonight?
dumb. That's dumb. Hey, the last thing I wanted to talk about um, is okay. So let's say that now we understand the value. We understand we're here to serve a limited amount of people. We also understand that there's two options: low and high. Uh, we have to determine what it is that we're going to what we're going to charge, and we got to get an idea. We got to test the field. One of the things I will say too, though, when testing the field, we want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. So oftentimes, what I see is that people will compare. It's kind of like I'm looking at watches, and I'm doing like high end sort of jewelry type gold watches, and I want to know what everybody else is charging, and I'm comparing myself to rubber dive watches. We got a
Mm.
price point relative to very similar services, right? So if I was Lonnie, I'm not interested in what the barber is charging down the street. I want to see other people that do something similar to me and what they're
Right.
charging. But then the last thing is, okay, so I pick my price point, and listen, every single one of you watching, every single one of you could raise your price by 10% tomorrow and nothing would happen to your business. I mean, I promise you, nothing would happen. Nothing would happen. Lacey and I could raise our price by 10% tomorrow. Nothing. Well, what would happen is we would make more money, right? We would
Right.
make 10% more. Like that's I think we're stuck. No, we're going.
No, you're good. You're good. I think you were stuck
Okay.
for a hot second.
Well, I think the last piece of this is then how do I raise my prices? And again, I noticed that price of gas goes up, price of electricity goes up, price of chicken wings goes up, price of my little black t-shirts go up. Prices go up. But here's the thing: how do they raise their prices? Like this. They raise the
Raise your
price.
prices.
That's
The
it.
price is
And
raised.
so
Right.
for whatever reason, service providers get so hung up on this that they're like, well, I probably should have a billboard out front. We're raising prices effective January 1st. And then they get hung up on, I probably should tell them why. Due to increase in costs. And then what are we going to say when people are like, what? You're raising prices? I mean, you way overthink this. I mean, I don't get emails or letters before they raise the price of prime rib down at the supermarket. They don't do that. They don't send out any notification before they raise the price on eggs. They never tell you why they're raising the price on eggs. Maybe the price of eggs went up because of the cost of diesel and they had to truck the eggs in. All of these things matter, sure, but we don't have to necessarily, like you said, keep your hands out of your client's pocketbook. Well, the same thing here, where it's really not any of their business why. There's a lot that goes into running a business, and I understand that. And so when other people raise their prices, I get to make a decision. Do I want to keep doing business with that business or not? The majority of the times I do. I remember lately, the guy who cuts my hair here in Naples, he raised his prices, I think by $10. And they were just like, oh, so today it's going to be, and they said the new price. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. And I don't even
Sometimes
think
you don't even notice though,
yeah,
right? Like,
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
honestly.
I don't think I did notice. I was just like,
Yeah.
what happened? Because you know how I noticed? Because the way they do it is they tell you the price and then they say, do you want to leave a tip? And before
Uh,
it used to be $50. So it was super easy for me. It was $10 tip. Now it's some weird number. I think it was like 68 or maybe it was 58. Well, I think it went from 50 to 58. I'm like, well, now 58, that's an odd number. Like, help. And so
what do I
that's how I
tip?
knew. I was like, how do we calculate that? But I didn't really notice until they were telling me, like, do you want to, how much tip do you want to put on? I was like, oh shoot, the math didn't used to be this hard. They just raised the price. These guys are great, and I commend them for that. I'm like, all right, good job. Um, I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna go get my hair cut at Supercuts. I used to when I was poor, but I'm not gonna do that now. So I was like, okay, great, good for you. $8 per person more, and I'm a guy, so I mean, it's probably getting a ton more for girls' cuts and colors and all that other stuff that they do. But good for that person because they're making more money. The last thing that I want to say is this too. Everybody wants to go to a very successful provider. Like, do you want someone cutting your hair that you honestly are thinking while they're cutting your hair, like, how are they even surviving? I think that, I look at them, they look homeless. Or I saw their car out, I saw their bike, and it looked like it was like 20-year-old bike. Like, I'm kind of concerned for them. I'm wondering how they're eating. Do you want to go to a cardiologist that you're wondering whether or not they're going to make it financially? No, every single person that receives a service, they desperately inside want their service providers to be really, really, really successful. It makes feel good about the service they're receiving, and two, it makes them proud to be a client. They love to be a client of someone who's doing well in business.
Yeah, I think that that's great. So, and I love that idea of not bringing attention to it, right? Just do it and raise your prices tomorrow. Don't create awkward, weird emails. People are saying they don't like those. Don't make big announcements. Don't put signs up on the door. Just raise your prices, get it done, do it tomorrow. Everybody else is, right? Simple as that. That's it. Should we draw some names? Speaking of money.
Yeah, how much are we giving away tonight?
We're giving away $400.
All right.
4 names, $400.
$400 and 4 names?
4 names out of the canasta.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Luke?
I think I'm on.
You're on.
All right. Oh, before, in the meantime, if you're a bro.
A bro.
I don't think we can hear him.
And you like
You can't hear him?
No, not at all.
Oh,
I can't.
I'm live.
All right, there we go.
Sorry about that, y'all. I was saying, before I draw Chris Collins' name, sorry. If you're a bro, I think there's only a couple spots left, but we're doing this little event for the bros, hosted by our very own Shawn Dill and Grant Dennis, the amazing tag team that they are. And then, of course, we did another batch of Sales Matters today. These are the official dates in Austin, Texas, March 24th and 25th. If you're a VIP member, of course, you get the VIP day up front, which is March 23rd. That's that. All right, I'm ready to draw some names.
You better draw a good name because people are super disappointed in your inability to work the mics. So just so you know, they're calling you a rookie, telling you turn your mic on.
Sorry.
Telling you it's not okay. All right,
Now
4
I
names out of the
twisted it.
canasta.
All right,
It's not for bros, it's for dudes. That's what Skip says. All right.
It's for bros.
It's for... All right, everybody. We got 4 names to draw. 1, 2,
Canasta.
3, 4. We got... Look at that. Like, that's so funny. You know what? There was like a certain amount of people on, and then all of a sudden, now we're drawing for money, and all of a sudden it doubled.
Shoot.
I know. How does that
Yeah.
happen? It's like people just text their friends, you better get on. It's money time. You know what was money time? When Shawn and I were talking about how to raise your prices. If you raised your prices by 10%, you'd make a lot more than $400.
They
That's
saw
all I'm
Lukey
saying.
on the camera, and they said, all right, time to start watching.
Oh, man. All right, let's go.
I got some names. Right.
Brobin Nights, somebody said. Rename the event. All
If your
right.
name is
Get that music. Get that timer.
Don Rosemond, you have
Oh,
30
Don!
seconds to claim.
Hey. It's time to rain. You got, yeah, Don.
Don Rosemond, Indiana Zone.
I know
Claim your
she's around.
$400.
Yeah, she's just around the corner.
Yeah, she's just
Fort Wayne.
2 hours north of us.
Everybody knows Dawn. See, everybody's saying Dawn. Dawn. Is Dawn on?
$400 is yours.
Is she on Money Mondays? She might be working on her Rain. What is it? Yes, Rain. See, everybody knows. Aw, Dawn.
All right.
You
well,
got-
Don just rained.
Oh, sorry, Dawn.
Sorry to rain on your parade, Don.
Aw. Somebody text Dawn. That's funny. She is the rainmaker. All right.
Can I keep going?
Yeah, you got to keep going.
Cool.
I mean,
All
Shawn
right.
and I are done with content, so we got to draw 4 names. Hopefully, not even 4 names because we're gonna have a winner.
All right.
Who we got?
If your name is Mike DeCubilis, you have 30
Mike!
seconds
Wow, you're pulling out
to
all
claim
the
your
VIPers.
prize.
Mike.
DeCubilis.
Mike. Is it glitchy tonight? It is a little glitchy tonight. But everybody knows.
I mean, maybe we can. I don't know. If we're a little off on time, we can be a little gracious. But
Well,
I
let's
haven't
just
seen
see.
him
Is
in the
Mike
comments.
on? Anybody seen Mike tonight?
Michael
Has anybody?
DeKubelis.
We broke the internet. I know. We broke the internet. I'm not sure what's going on with the internet here.
I mean, people are clearly like they're commenting.
Does everybody
They
know it's Mike? Everybody saw Mike's name? We'll give him like 2 more seconds. All right. That was like 35 seconds for Mike DeKubelis. So even with the glitches, we gave extra time. All right. Everybody said, people are saying it's working super smooth. Some people are saying it's glitchy. So I don't know.
Prices
We're somewhere
are high,
in the middle.
Your prices are low.
Just don't be in the middle. Don't be somewhat glitchy.
Name
All
number
right.
3?
Yeah, name number 3.
Here we go. I've got in my hand Patrick Simonson.
Patrick. Does anybody know Patrick?
You've
Let's
got
go on the
30
timer.
seconds
25 seconds, Patrick.
to claim your prize.
Oh, all those sponsored commercials y'all are getting. Oh, see, that's what happens, right? All of a sudden we get some commercial spots and then YouTube's like
Patty Ice.
Patty Ice. Are you on? Patrick Simonson?
Simonson.
I can't see Simonson.
Simon says, claim yo money.
Oh, Patrick, Chris Collins says. Sorry, Patrick.
Man, 0 for 3 on $400?
I know. We're trying to give away money. We gave away money was it last week? All right. Uh-oh.
Tyler, I'm going to give it away. It's not you.
Oh.
I'm looking at Tyler, you can go ahead and log off. Casey, you can go ahead and log off too because it's not you. Anybody else actually that I can just tell you who it's not?
No, just go. Let's go. 30 seconds on the clock.
This is a good one. We got $400 for Shay Ridge.
Shay.
We have $400 for you, Shay. Come claim it.
You know what? Shay shows up in the strangest of places. So I would not
Shay's
be
on.
shocked if Shay was on here tonight.
Sorry,
Everybody
Tyler.
knows, like, you're hanging out, and then all of a sudden there's Shay.
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 400 is yours, my friend.
Hey. Hey, Shay. Shay. You guys know, Shay shows up. He does. All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, there's Shay Ridge. But
people are
I'm saying, oh my
Shay.
gosh.
Shay.
Shay is not here tonight. So somebody needs to poke Shay and tell him you won the money, but you didn't claim your prize tonight.
Well, okay, so I mean, to be fair, not just him, Don, Mike.
Yes, I know.
Patrick. These were some. I don't want to say.
Those are solid
I don't want to
names.
say big names,
But they're solid names. They're
mean,
recognizable.
VIP, yeah, very
names.
recognizable names.
Yes, where you could think that Casey says no way they're here. All right. Well, you know what that means for each and every one of you? That next week we're up to $500. $500 next week on Money Mondays. That means 5 names. That means you could be the winner. But hey, listen, like I said, if you just listen to what Shawn and I talked about tonight, giving you tips on overcoming your mindset around raising your prices, and just get out there tomorrow and raise your prices, I guarantee you're going to make more than $500. So tonight would have been worth it. So
I gotta know, why would somebody call, if your name was Jody, why would you call her Shay?
I was wondering the same thing.
Oh, that's why you put it up there?
Oh, yeah, Jody, we need to know why your ex called you Shay
Maybe call her
Ridge.
JoJo.
Just kidding.
My ex used to call me Shay Ridge.
Shay. Shay Ridge. The whole thing. The whole name doesn't count. I love it. Oh, Jody, that's great. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on another Money Mondays. Get over your stuff. Raise your prices. People will pay you for the value that you're worth, especially those that you were meant to serve. So go make your $500 plus by just taking action. We'll see you next week on Money Mondays.